everyone.
Hello.
So normally we would say what's the significance of tonight, but it wasn't widely known what was going on tonight. There was actually an Otter Creek meeting pushed up to tonight. So we wanted to talk about it a little bit for those of you that are still following the Otter Creek saga. But it's not the whole Otter Creek saga. It's really just what happened in the meeting and who became mayor and who was at the meeting. How about that?
Okay.
Feel free to chime in.
I usually try to, but you might cut me off.
No. Go ahead.
So, hello, everybody. Brett just likes to dive right in there.
I do.
I like to say hi. How's everybody doing?
Yep.
All that good stuff.
Hi, how's everybody doing? Like that.
So, there was a meeting tonight. Oddly enough, it was moved up a week. Usually it's the third Tuesday of the month. And they moved it up to the Wednesday beforehand, which is odd.
It is kind of odd.
I'm assuming that they did that because they also had a meeting for the CDBG. Did I say that right?
I think so. I always get the B and the D mixed up.
It's like at the post office with all the acronyms. But they had a meeting for that. I did see that that was posted in a Marion County newspaper, which I thought was also odd.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I remember way back when Mary would post a lot of stuff in the Gainesville newspapers when she would run out of time, and you have to legally put these ads in there during a certain time frame to give enough notice for the members of the town to attend.
So she would miss the local newspaper, Levy Citizen. She would miss the deadline and go, oops, I need to get it out into some newspaper, even if nobody reads it. It's not even about if anybody reads it. It's like a check the block.
Perhaps now that they don't really have a clerk, that deadline might have got missed and they had to put it in the Marion County paper, I'm assuming.
Which is
But I think it's horrible that the little towns have to legally advertise the stuff in the newspapers because it is very expensive and nobody reads the newspapers anymore.
Right.
So it seems like they would come out with a better way, and a website, Facebook page, those type of things would give plenty of notice to everybody because everybody's on the internet and Facebook.
And anybody that might have been interested in the meeting is going to be in Levy County. It's not going to be someone in another county. So they know it's not going to get looked at.
Well, it's just about checking the block. Because even if it was in the Chiefland paper, nobody would have seen it either because nobody reads it.
But more so, though.
Just being honest.
Right. Yeah.
So it's unfortunate that they have to spend that money on that just to check the block.
Just to check the block. Yep.
But I did notice that they have made improvements on the Otter Creek website.
Yes, they have.
Unfortunately, they have not put on there most of the new relevant stuff. I did see that they have the town charter on there. They have the ordinances, the resolutions, which is great.
Yes, about time.
Very good. But I was hoping to start seeing the current agenda for the meetings on there, the current minutes, and so far I'm not seeing that. So hopefully it's just lagging behind. But now with no clerk, I guess that's going to be a little bit more behind.
Oh, wait. If there ain't no clerk, there ain't no show. We've already been told that by Russ, right? If there ain't no clerk, there ain't no show. Well, it seems like they didn't have a clerk. And guess what? The show went on, right?
It did somehow because there was nobody sitting at the table.
So can you say
for the clerk?
Debunk.
So, yeah. So Belinda is just the bookkeeper now, as far as I know. She wasn't sitting at the table representing the clerk.
No. She was in the audience, though.
Right.
But.
So, yeah, it's going to be a little lacking without a clerk. There's a lot to do. And I thought she might be staying until they hired a new clerk so that stuff would still be getting done and she would be training them. But
yeah.
I don't know how that's going to work.
Yeah.
They did say in the meeting that they were going to be going through the resumes and all that, but I thought maybe they might be voting on a clerk tonight, but nope, guess not. I did notice when I looked online at the ad for the clerk, there was no ending date either for the job posting. So
maybe it's a continuous posting,
maybe,
just running up that bill, right?
maybe, I don't know. I doubt it.
So I don't know. I think it's going to be hard to find somebody, but they have to find somebody, right? Or unincorporate.
They should unincorporate.
They absolutely should, but
But they won't.
They won't. So what happened? How long was the meeting? First off,
It was not even 14 minutes.
so we're going to call it 15 minutes and go Mark Feathers 15 minutes.
They got Mark beat. They don't even do 14 minutes. So
Yeah, 14 minutes.
they're
Yeah.
earning a lot of money on those meetings, right?
Yeah, I couldn't help but throw that in there. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I guess there won't be much to type up in those minutes.
No.
So
Now,
I did notice a few peculiar things about this meeting.
there were some absentees.
Yes, and tonight was the night that they were swearing in the new people
Right?
and also voting on the mayor and the vice mayor.
Yep.
So I was pretty surprised. First of all, the one board member that didn't need to be sworn in wasn't there at all.
Yeah.
Usually she comes late, but she didn't even bother to show up
Didn't
this
even
time.
show up.
So how much does she really care about the town if she keeps being late or doesn't bother to show up?
Maybe she has something very important to do.
I wonder if they're playing shenanigans with her seat too.
I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know what they could be, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Zim got sworn in.
I
Carl got sworn in. Rex got sworn in.
Yep.
And Russell Meeks didn't even show up.
I was a little shocked by that. I thought he'd be there early with bells on.
I think that is the oddest,
With new denims and all that. But
oddest thing. So for him not to show up for the seat he was elected for after all that hoo-ha, do you think he's playing games with his seat?
I absolutely think he's trying to play games with his seat. So if he waits for 2 meetings and misses them, he doesn't get paid. If he misses 3 meetings,
Well, how can he get paid? He's never been sworn in.
that's true. So they might move faster if you haven't even been sworn in. But I think it's 2 strikes you don't get paid, and 3 strikes you're off. And then a letter of interest would go out, would be put on notice.
For the vacant seat?
For the vacant seat. Now, we already know from previous meetings and outputs or previous videos that Russ and Don tried to go to the election board and was trying to play games there. They were trying to force Lynette onto the board, but they found out they couldn't do that. So I just wonder, what's the game now? What's the play?
I'm surprised not even Don showed up. And, you figure that at least all the people that were running in the election, even if they didn't win, they would still be there to see the people get sworn in, to support the town that they supposedly care so much about.
Right.
You think they would be there.
Nope.
I mean, I read on the website that Otter Creek is a welcoming community.
Oh, did you read all that?
And that they're so, like this.
Like
and
this.
They welcome new people in. And I read all these wonderful things. So I would think you would have all those people who so care about the town enough to run for the board would attend the meetings regularly.
Did you want to pull that up or just let people pull it up for themselves?
Well, they can read it themselves.
Yeah. Just look up Otter Creek Town Hall, and they have a website there now. Click on website and read it. It's not very long, but there's a blurb in there that says how the community is inviting and they're tight-knit, and it just goes on, and I couldn't help reading it and laughing. Like, that wasn't my experience in Otter Creek, but maybe it's their experience.
But I saw none of those people attending the meeting, not even the one who was supposed to get sworn in. Speaks volumes to me.
Yeah, and they keep voting for him.
I don't get it.
It boggles the mind. I don't understand it. I'm totally lost.
Otter Creek is truly the Twilight Zone, I believe.
It is.
Truly.
I don't know. If I knew, I'd say it. I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea.
So that's very unfortunate. It didn't look like a big crowd was there as usual. So all the numbers have dwindled down of the people attending. I mean, when I was on the board, it was standing room only. But
that's because
the numbers have definitely.
To see you.
I don't think so.
I think so, because you would have a 2 to 3 page agenda. Like you did a whole bunch of stuff.
Well, I think you should.
This agenda basically just said they were swearing in the new mayor and vice mayor, and that's pretty much all they said.
And they did have to adjust it in the beginning to also vote on the grant for the community center. See, that last meeting, they ended the old grant so that they could get into this new grant.
To reset the clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just another thing the town doesn't need, another thing the town is not going to use. But, I don't know. 3 people voted for it, so.
And so I guess that'll go forward, and maybe at some point they'll get their community center.
Or they'll find another way to mess it up. That's. I don't mean to be negative here, but.
Are you negative, Nancy?
I'm negative, Nancy. So I'm going to say they'll find another.
Hi, Nancy.
They'll miss a deadline somewhere without having the clerk in there, and something will happen, and they'll miss it. I think they'll mess it up again somehow. But I'm calling it. If I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong. But we'll find out next year, I guess.
So what else were they talking about?
Zim talked about the water a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to talk more about that.
Well, I know they were just talking about they were talking a bit about the septic, I heard. And they've talked about this before in a couple of meetings past, where eventually, and who really knows when all this is going to happen? It could be 10 years. Because we're talking about a lot of money to get this done. Mm-hmm. But they will have to eventually, all the people that have septic systems in the town will have to tie in to, I guess, would that be a county septic system? Or
it could be state.
I know the state is mandating it because they don't want to continue with the septic systems on their own individual.
They're trying to get rid of septic. They're trying to get rid of the septic system.
So eventually everybody would have to tie into the town's septic, and sounds like they're probably going to do like some kind of transfer septic system in Otter Creek, maybe using one of the old water plants to do that.
Oh, I would think it'd have to be bigger.
I didn't hear all the details because, of course, it's very hard to hear in those meetings, and they don't usually give you all the details anyway.
They don't share all that with you anyway.
So the pipeline running through from Bronson would give them good water. They were talking about being offline and back online, and it's a continual process. And then I guess the people working on it don't really know what they're doing. So it sounds like the same big mess that has been going on for quite a while.
Yeah.
But eventually they're going to have clean water. Maybe.
If they don't die from the water first.
Is what I'm understanding.
I think the water has been cleaned up. Is it perfect? No, but it's better than it was. So they do have new medium filters that the water is passing through. So it is better than it was. I can't speak to how much better, but
I know a lot of people in the town have said it's really good, and it's the clearest it's ever been, is what I've heard from the different townspeople.
That would make sense, actually. They got it going through more filters than they ever have before. So
they were also talking about voting on, I don't know if it'll be next month or in the near future, that everybody who owns property in the town should pay a water bill, whether you live on that property or not, because there's a lot of people who own huge parcels of like timber. You have a lot of timber companies who own thousands of acres, hundreds of acres throughout Otter Creek that they don't contribute to the water system at all. So they're talking about passing an ordinance that would mandate everybody owning property probably to pay a base fee. Because I do believe that that is in the ordinances from way back when,
I think
but
it is,
was
yes.
never really enforced, adhered to, whatever you want to call it.
Weren't they trying to enforce that on Jeremy? Because he had bought a property that person never used, but they didn't ever bill him. But they should have billed him.
I don't know about the billing practice there.
Yeah, so
I can't speak to that. That was before I was in town hall
it
at
was
all.
pretty
So
early,
they
yeah.
may have been paying a base fee. I'm not really sure. But every town or every property, that one had a meter.
It did.
Of course, they didn't know where it was, but it did have a meter. But there are a lot of properties in Otter Creek that there is not even a meter.
Yeah, there's a empty place for a meter, but the meters can be taken out. It's a box. So the plumbing comes to the box, no plumbing comes out of the box, and there's no meter in the box. But it's set up for
Every
water.
property?
I can't say that for sure. Like, I don't know if the timber...
I wouldn't bet on it.
Yeah, I don't know if the timber companies have a meter. It's not one that I ever had to read.
But there are a lot of people that own large
Yes.
plots of land there, and they pay very minimal taxes because they have timber and they're excluded from all these different things, but they're not really contributing to the town of Otter Creek.
Right.
They're owning cheap property there.
Yeah.
So that would be a good thing to address and a good thing to do, because it's a very minimal fee anyway. And it would just help the town incredibly if they had more people pitching into the water system. Because it is very expensive to run that water system, especially as much as they have to treat it. And that's
with only
where
100 people in the town, that's not many people.
Yeah, that's where the big money comes in, is paying for all the treatment of it. Because not only do you have to pay for all the chemicals, but you also have to pay people that have specialized knowledge to
Treat the water.
and do all of that.
Correct.
Every month.
Mm-hmm.
So it is very costly. So it's mostly run on grants, a lot of stuff, and the repairs and everything that they have to do. It's a lot to keep up with.
Yeah, if they were unincorporated, though, then the only thing that would change is it'd probably be Lonnie. It probably would still be the same guy, because he works with Bronson also. In other words, instead of writing the check out to Otter Creek for your water, you'd be writing it out to Bronson Municipals for water. It's the same, but it's the same. It's exactly the same. You'd be getting the same water from the same source from a different town. That's all. It'd still be an Otter Creek, and your taxes would go down because there'd be no town tax. You still have a county tax no matter what, and it wouldn't go up just because your town tax went away. It would be the same because the entire county has to vote on a tax increase. So it floors me why they don't understand why unincorporating would be in the best interest of every citizen in the town. It absolutely would.
Well, the data that was supplied from the
We did.
Levy County tax office when we asked, because the people in the town wanted to know
and you told them
about the price difference. Almost every property owner would be saving money on their taxes if the town of Otter Creek was unincorporated. So that was the outcome of the information.
Did they just not believe
but
it?
It didn't go anywhere.
Did it not click?
I don't know.
I can't answer that. Maybe they just didn't like you.
I think there's a bigger reason that the people in the town don't want to unincorporate than saving money. It's a bigger reason to them, I guess.
I don't know what that would be.
I don't know. From what I understand, there's just feel like it would undo all the work of the founding fathers, so to speak, of the town.
Sometimes there's a need for something and then there becomes no need. So, example, what if, let's fast forward 10 years and the pipeline is running now from Bronson to Cedar Key, and now you have to tie into it. That's going to make all the water treatment plants that they have, the 1 and 2, obsolete. They're not going to need them. They can maybe repurpose them to do something else. But now why do you have a board? Would you still have a board?
It sounds like they would.
aboard for what? The 1 or 2 building permits they might do a year? Because that's it. That's all they got.
Maybe to oversee that community center.
Oh yeah, oversee the community center, which no one's going to use
I'm
except
not really sure.
Zim. Zim might use it, but that's it. So, and I just don't understand the common sense. But we'll see what happens in a year if they have a community center, and we'll see what it's doing.
Well, I guess they
I
can
could be
use
wrong.
the community center during their festivals.
Yeah. Okay. They could. But
I mean, they should if they
that's-
have it. They
that's-
really should
yeah,
use it.
They
I
should
hope.
use it. That's 1 or 2 days a year.
I mean, it'd
Now-
be terrible.
Now, what about the rest of the year?
It'd be terrible to build this nice building and it just sit there vacant and not get used. That would be really terrible.
The town hall, other than the meetings, really doesn't get used. It was a library, it didn't get used. It had internet access. People could come and get on the computers. It wasn't being used. So I'm going to be negative Nancy again and say that this community center is going to be, if it's used, it's going to be seriously underused.
Mary used the town hall
Oh, of course she
for
did.
her kitchen.
Yeah, her personal kitchen. Lord knows she didn't do any filing there.
There was more snacks in that
Oh my
office
goodness.
and kitchen than anywhere I've ever seen.
Yeah, all of them came from the children's table, and people didn't come and pick up, so she'd keep it. So
Well, she was supposed to give it out to people in the town,
I know
but
she didn't.
there was a lot of out of date food in there.
Yes.
So that was sad to see.
Yeah, it's sad. It even though we don't live there anymore, it still bothers me that there's so much fraud, waste, and abuse. I guess with the town. And can you imagine the bigger cities that probably have a lot of stuff going on where, I don't know. I just don't like it. Why can't people do the right thing? When you're in office, do the right thing.
It
When you're a
seems like
clerk,
it's
do the right
so
thing.
much easier to do the right thing than
Right.
to do the wrong thing. But for some reason, people are just attracted to the wrong thing.
Look at all the wrong things that we know Russell has done, and ethics did nothing.
I'm not
Yeah.
shocked. I never
Look-
thought they would do anything in the
I
first
didn't
place.
think so either. I was going to be shocked if they did. I'd have been like, whoa, look, this happened. I just shook my head. I was like, well, that figures. So the corruption goes all the way up to the state level. I ain't saying the whole state, but some part of the state. Absolutely. But, I mean, what are you supposed to do? I don't understand. I mean, I don't get it.
Move.
Yeah, move. Move.
I did.
Yeah. We're out. They say if you don't like it here, leave. Okay. We're out.
I don't mind visiting Florida.
Yeah. That's the best thing to do to Florida is visit Florida. Don't move there. And if
I
you,
lived there long enough, so
yeah, if you do move there, you need to live in a gated community with your peeps and fence it off. And that's why I understand why there's so much fenced off property in Florida, because there's a lot of scumbags in Florida. They're full of them. And so you have to protect yourself with a fence. And sometimes that's not enough. You got to use fencing and cameras and all kind of stuff. But I don't know. I'm not here to bash Florida. I'm just saying that was my observations.
sure?
Yeah, there's things I love about Florida. I'm not a big beach person, but I like to visit a beach once in a while, so I can enjoy it for a couple days. But I like riding around on golf carts, and I like.
I love Florida winters.
I like Florida winters. There you go, Florida winters.
There's many things about Florida that I love.
I love the food down south.
Yeah. I mean, I was born in Florida. I lived in Florida most of my life. I just didn't want to be there during the summers anymore because they're brutal.
Nobody does.
They are absolutely
The
brutal.
residents don't even want to be there in the summers.
And I worked outside a lot during my time in Florida, so I'm good. I don't miss any of that.
I'm looking over our notes here to see if we hit on everything.
There wasn't much to hit on. It was a
No.
very short meeting. There was no comments or questions. Yeah, it was pretty uneventful.
Um,
And they voted the mayor. Who do you think won?
Well, there was only 3 people there, so I didn't think there'd be any changes, and there weren't.
Zim is the mayor,
Zim is the
and
mayor,
Carl is the
Carl's
vice
the
mayor.
vice mayor. And it
As
was
I said
unanimous.
last time, that's what I thought it would be, so
Yeah.
that's what it is. And that's good. It'll give them another year of having a board in agreement, doing good things.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully in the future they can beef up their agendas and get some stuff accomplished.
Now,
I do hope that they start using the time that they have to do good things for the town.
on the website, did you notice if you can pay on the website yet?
There was a button for pay my bill. I didn't click on it or anything.
Oh, so you don't know if it works or not.
Nope.
And I noticed some of the ordinances that are listed on there, like it'll say 24, but it'll be in the 25 folder, or 25 in the 2024 folder.
Yeah, there was a little mixies.
So they got some stuff.
It was like that with the minutes and the agendas too, a little mixies, but it looked like they're doing 23, 24, and 25. So it looks like they have 23 and 24 mostly loaded up, and 25 only had a month or two so far put in there. And the calendar unfortunately didn't work, because it would be nice to be able to click on the calendars and see whenever there are different meetings going on.
Like today's meeting wasn't really, everybody didn't know that the meeting had changed.
Well, I mean, your website is the best place
Yes.
to put notices, number
Yes.
one.
Yes.
So you should be using that to the full extent of using it. And I would also create a Facebook page to put the information, because like I said before, everybody's on Facebook, everybody's on the internet. If you want your town to attend the meetings,
You have to let them know there is one.
right. And I still think that they should have a YouTube channel and be going live with their meetings, because there are a ton of people who don't really want to attend the meetings, but they still want to see what's going on.
Right.
And then they could control the sound and everything. They wouldn't have to allow comments, so it could be just a non-biased streaming of the meeting,
And they could load it
as it is.
They could load it right onto their webpage, so anybody that wants a copy of it, it's right there.
So
that's
I
public
mean,
record too.
that would save from more public record requests and this and that, when everything is, what's the magic word? What's the magic word? Transparency. You want transparency, and that's what
So there's nothing to
recording
question.
and live streaming does.
Right.
Is it provides transparency, it provides accountability, and sorry, that's what you have to have these days. So I know a lot of people are upset about people recording, and when you go out in public, you could be on somebody's live stream, on somebody's video, but that's the day and age that we live in.
Yeah, so what?
And if nothing's going wrong, if you're doing nothing wrong, what is the problem?
What do you care?
I think some people cause more of a panic or a problem of some sort by being nasty to the people who are filming and carrying on, rather than you could walk by and say nothing. You could walk by and say hi. There's no need to be nasty, but you cause more of a scene when you act that way.
Yeah. So if you run a traffic light in the city and you get a bill in the mail and it has your picture on it, if they don't have a picture of you in the car,
I mean, cameras
with
are
this
everywhere.
timestamp, they can't charge you. So it's called accountability.
And most people who
everybody
are
does it.
filming are just running the camera like this. They're
Yeah.
usually not in your face with it like, hey,
Right.
you know.
It's usually back.
There are some people
Yeah,
that
some
do
people
that.
do that.
I'm not going to say that, because
And some people
some
you
people
can-
are extra.
You can be making a private video, well, not a private, but let's say you're making a video. You're in a store, you're making a video, and someone can walk into your stream and then be like, oh, you putting that on the internet? And they suddenly become a Karen. We've had one situation of that in one of our videos. But hey, if you're in a public place, there's no expectation of privacy in a public place.
You're always going to be on a
Always
camera somewhere.
subject to be on camera. Doesn't mean you are.
I would hope the town would get past that and just start streaming the meetings.
Yeah.
So many towns do that already.
Bronson's got a YouTube channel.
the school board has
The school board has a YouTube channel.
Many towns
Yes.
do. It's just
Yeah.
great for transparency.
Right.
And if you want the people in your towns and in your counties and your states to be interested in the goings on and be supportive, because everybody wants the support of the people, but sometimes they just don't want the people to know what's really going on, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But if you really want to do good things and you want support, then you need to show what's going on and
Be transparent.
pique the interest and use the camera for good.
You used to beg the town to come out and come to the meetings and bring your input with you.
Right, because
They wouldn't show up.
that's what the town and the meetings are for, the people.
They still don't show up.
So
You can't even get board members to show
I
up.
always begged people for comments. I had comments at 2 points in the meeting. I don't care if you ask it in the form of a question or if you just want to make a statement. That doesn't matter. That is not the point to block people from speaking.
And to tell them what it is they can ask questions
You
about.
should encourage
That's not right
it.
either.
Now, the only thing I think is smart is let's not be talking about your water bill during
Right.
the meeting.
That's not the place for that.
But once upon a time,
They did.
they did, and that's what was in the ordinances of that is when to talk about your bill for whatever reason.
It's not because you don't have
But I
Belinda
think
doesn't have access in the meeting to
those
your water
things
bill.
were wrote so long ago that everything
Right.
was pretty different back then. So
Yeah.
back then, that I guess was the time to do it.
But anything else you want to talk about? If you want to stand up and say, "Hey, it was a beautiful day today. Thank you. Have a seat." That's it.
Yeah,
You can do it.
I
Why
think
not?
it's great for people to be heard, and you come together, and I think it changes the way a town is. It changes the air of the town
Mhm.
when people are involved, when people know that they can voice things, that they will be heard. But I guess
Another thing that's
they don't
interesting.
want people to be heard in that town.
If you go out to the Otter Creek Town Hall website and you look, and there's two pictures there, and you go to the bottom picture, most of your reading is below that. But that picture, I recognize that picture, and I've also spoke to the owner about that picture. But I don't know how they got that picture because this person has owned that property, and I know no one there can go on that property to get that picture to put it on that website. So that should have been done with permission because it's private property and that picture is newer because of what's in it. I know it's a newer picture, being in the last 5 years. So
I'm surprised that they just wouldn't have common
I don't know.
areas of the town in
the picture,
the picture. I mean, like, why wouldn't you have just had a picture of town hall?
Town
I mean,
hall,
not that that is the prettiest looking building or anything,
No,
but it's what they have.
that's
So
what it is.
there's
Or
not much you can do about that.
or at least public areas like Herschel's or the post office. Those are the two big attractions. Now it's a trading post. Okay, how about that? How about that big, beautiful park that sits behind the town hall that has nothing in it? They have about 2 acres there doing nothing. They just mow it and that's it.
It is definitely a strange selection of
Pictures.
a picture to put on the page.
But go out there when you get a chance and read that page. It's not very long. It's maybe 3 paragraphs. And
But
knowing what you know about Otter Creek and read it, you'll
But
get a
I am
laugh out
glad
of
to
it.
see that they are loading things onto
Yes,
the website.
That's good.
It's moving in the right direction. I don't know when they're going to be selecting a clerk, but
They didn't even talk to it.
all they said was that they're going over resumes.
Yeah, but that's not
But that doesn't mean much. So
no.
maybe next meeting they'll be selecting a clerk. But if Belinda's not doing any of the clerk stuff anymore, I don't really know how the town can move forward because,
They're going to start missing deadlines.
yeah,
Every month that goes by is a month of something they've missed.
there's some people that think there's nothing to the clerk job. But
Oh, yeah, they think it's
there's-
only 2 hours a week.
there's
or
a
something.
lot going on there,
There's
more than you would think.
More than you would think. Someone who knows what they're doing has to put at least 15 to 20 hours in the clerk position. And someone who doesn't know what they're doing, probably 40 to 50 hours a week. But
There's a lot of little
yeah,
things to learn.
There's a lot of little things. Not that they can't be learned. I don't think any of them are difficult. The hardest thing is just tracking everything. It's tracking all your deadlines, knowing who to talk to about what, knowing all your points of contact, knowing who all your key players are. That's going to be the hardest part of that job. But that's going to take a while to learn that. I don't have all those answers.
So I'm just surprised that without Belinda being in that position, that there's still stuff going on and they're able to move forward with that. Yeah. So she must be doing a little bit more than just the bookkeeping.
Yeah. She must be doing the key things, the important things.
Yeah. Somebody's got to be doing
Somebody's got to be doing it. And I know Zim doesn't know how to do it.
So I guess keep praying for them.
Yep, keep praying for them.
But it should be interesting to see at the next meeting, does Russell show up?
Tell you what, they're real lucky they have a quorum of 3 people there.
Does Laura show up?
Or the hardships would have started tonight.
Does anybody in the town show up?
Yeah.
So stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
For the Otter Creek saga.
Thanks for joining us today on Madam Mayor's Adventures as we go over another Otter Creek meeting, ODDER.
It was odd.
Odd.
It was definitely odd.
But thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Bye. Love y'all.
See you later.
Be good to each other.